Hey yo, welcome back to the Man's Podcast, aka the Man's Show. I'm Lboogiedamann. This is brought to you by Hard Knock Worldwide. Let's get right back into it, y'all. So earlier I was talking about Donald Trump and pretty much the reasons why black people should vote for him instead of voting for the Democrats again. And now I want to get into a second topic that I felt needed to be tackled this week, which is Black Lives Matter. Okay. Now, when Black Lives Matter started, and it was being pushed in the media back in 2014, 2015, I was all for it. Based on the videos, you know what I mean? People getting killed, shot in the back. Motherfuckers with no authority killing unarmed black kids. Even police killing black kids and all of that. Who can go against that? Not to mention, I had all my brushes with the law. I felt like I was being profiled. And yeah, so I was all for it. I even wrote a song called Black Lives Matter that I put on my project called Milk from a Dirty Glass that I released in 2015. That's on all the streaming platforms. Go and check that out. But as time went on and more interviews were being done, exposés were coming, documentaries, news stories, I started to realize exactly what Black Lives Matter is. Hell, you used to be able to go to the website and they would tell you what Black Lives Matter stood for. But they took all of that stuff down as we was getting closer to the election because they don't want Biden to look bad for supporting Black Lives Matter. Why would he look bad for supporting Black Lives Matter? It's a positive movement for social change, right? Well, not quite. Now, what do we know about Black Lives Matter? Really, all we really know as far as the organization is that it was founded by black lesbians. Those are black women who don't want black men. And that those black lesbians are being funded by George Soros. Which, if you ask Fox News, they'll just cut the feed. They don't even want to talk about George Soros whatsoever because they know what he's about and they know what he does. He gives these money to these black lesbians and he trains them to become Marxists. Now, what is Marxism? Marxism is pretty much the idea of order through chaos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cause a fucking scene. I'm going to cause a conflict. And then in order to resolve that conflict, I'm going to provide solutions that will in turn get people to move and act how I want them to move and act. That's Marxism. Okay? The trained Marxists. So that's why you have all of these Black Lives Matter protests where they say only 6 or 7% of the protests are violent. And it's like, okay, well, let's say only 5 or 6% of police interactions with black people were violent. Only 5 or 6%. Then what? So 5 or 6% is good. That's cool. Because I could guarantee you, out of the amount of interactions between law enforcement and innocent black people, that a lot smaller percentage of them die in those interactions. So if it's not that big of a deal, it's not that much, what are we protesting in? If it's not that much. You see where the logic starts to break shit down when you ask simple questions like that? But yeah. And not only are they trained Marxists, but they also are against the patriarchy. They want to tear down the patriarchy. What is the patriarchy? Patriarchy is pretty much the man being in charge and being the head of the household. They don't want the man to be in charge. They want the black man out of there. They want you either dead so they can use you as a way to get donations, or they want your ass locked up, which is why so many black women call the police on their baby daddies and their boyfriends and their husbands. Why they put them on child support knowing they can't afford child support, because they gonna lock their ass up. Which is crazy, because how can you say defund the police? If you defund the police, how you gonna call the police on us? Just simple questions. Just simple questions that I ask. And they also fight for the LGBT community. What they try to do, Black Lives Matter, is they try to lump black people and our issues with dealing with race in the same category as gay and trans people dealing with issues as far as their sexual identity. The reason I don't like that shit is because I didn't choose to be black. I ain't choose to be brown. I ain't choose to be designated as black. I didn't choose to be born with this brown skin, this beautiful brown skin. I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to be profiled, discriminated against, attacked, verbally and physically. I didn't choose that, but I gotta live with it. When a man decides he wants to date another man, that's a choice that he made. A woman dating another woman, that's a choice that she made. A man want to identify as a woman want to identify as a man, that's a choice that they made. It's not the same. You're not going to sit here and try to make it seem like trans rights and LGBT rights are the same as civil rights. They're not. You fighting for two different things. It's two different things. Everybody wants to be treated equally. There is no such thing as equality. And I know people ain't going to like hearing me say that, but there ain't no such thing as equality. If there wasn't such thing as equality, then there wouldn't be wars going on since the beginning of time. We wouldn't have sports because everybody's created equally. So it's going to end in a tie every single time, right? No. You have winners and you have losers. You have winners and you have losers. And the best way to put that as far as America is concerned, the European colonists that came over here and the Spanish that led them over here, they are considered the winners right now because they are the ones that's running the country. They're the ones that hold the rights to this land as far as in black and white. Black people are the losers because we let them come over here. We was already here. We let them come over. They took our land, raped our women, pillaged our motherfucking villages, and forced us into agreements that we really didn't want, but we had no choice but to accept. It was either that or war. And it's a lot of our ancestors that died fighting for this country. And I'm not talking about fighting for the U.S. military. I'm talking about the tribes, the communals that was here before this place was colonized. We were at war. And shit, we had to come to a compromise. That's why all those treaties were signed. All of those tax cuts, taxes being eliminated from Native Americans. They have their own designated land that the United States can't intrude on. That was the compromise. That was the treaty. It was a win-win for both sides, pretty much. But the people who weren't included in those treaties, the black people weren't included in those treaties, were losers. And like Kanye said, for 400 plus years, we've been slaves, losers, working 9-to-5 jobs that pay just enough for you to be broke. Modern day slavery. But don't nobody want to say that though, because the fucking truth hurts. Don't nobody want to be told that I'm going to work every day at my job, but I have to fucking take up a second job on the side just to pay all of my bills every month. That's slavery. That's slavery. But man, I'm getting too far. Let me get back on track. All right. Black Lives Matter also believes in community raising the children. Pretty much, us sisters can raise these boys and girls just fine. We don't need no man in the household. We can do this ourselves, ladies. Remember, these are lesbians who started this organization. And this is the thing. These are the things that they believed in. They scrubbed their website, but these are the things that they believed in. They don't believe in. You can go. There's Jesse Lee Peterson. He interviewed a brother from Black Lives Matter, and no matter how he framed the question, no matter how many times he asked, that man would not admit that a black household and black children benefit more when they have their father in the household as well as the mother. He never wanted to admit that. And the interview went on for 40 minutes? And he could never admit that. Because he know if he admits that, he's going against the hand that feeds him. Straight up. And these are the things that are bringing down our community, because there ain't no real man in the household to show these kids how they're supposed to act, move about in this crazy ass world we living in, and the type of people that they should try to start families with. Most of our people didn't get that guidance like the generation before us or the generation before that, our grandparents. We didn't get that same level of teaching. Yeah, we got it in the household, but it's few and far in between where you have a household where motherfuckers is actually doing the right thing and being positive and making contributions. But these are the things that they believe in. Like I said, the only time they fight for black men at all is after they've been victims of police brutality. That's the only time Black Lives Matter has anything to do with helping black men. The advancement of black men. The need for black men to take control of the community to help build our culture back up to what it was in the 40s and the 50s. During the Black Renaissance, when we was in our prime. They don't believe in that. They don't want that. Because women are agents of chaos. And what they want to do is they want to take the chaos that's in the black community. 50 people getting shot in one weekend in Chicago. Children getting killed in Middle America. Drive-bys in Cali. Human trafficking and all of that stuff. They don't want to focus. That's not the focus. What they want to focus on is how can we get as much sympathy and donations as possible. Which, speaking of donations, all right, I'm from Toledo, Ohio. Live in the old West End. I went to school with Sir Major Page. Did I know him? Did I talk to him? No. We was on two different sides of the school. You know what I mean? But we all from the same neighborhood. Now, Sir Major Page, he's an activist from Toledo. Spent a lot of time in Atlanta working with Black Lives Matter several years ago. he got kicked out of Atlanta. Black Lives Matter, the Georgia, he got kicked out of their, what's the word I'm looking for, man? Anyway, they kicked him out of their organization, so he started his own. Why did they kick him out? Because he was always in trouble with the law. He was an extremist. He is an extremist. All right? He was impersonating police officers, hemming people up against their will. Luckily, he had a little bit of bread and he had a little bit back into where he didn't get locked up federally for the stuff that he's done. But now they own his ass. Because what he did was he took over $200,000 in Black Lives Matter donations and spent that shit on himself. Now, with that, I applaud him. Good job, bro. Because you taking that money and you keeping it from motherfuckers who, if it was to get into Black Lives Matter's hands, it would be detrimental to our community. They will use that money to fund sending more people out to these protests so they can burn shit down, violence, wanton destruction, looting. They can fund all of that stuff with these donations. So I give it to him for finding that little loophole and finding a way to do that. You know what I'm saying? What he did was wrong. You taking money from people who meant goodwill with that money, and you taking that shit and you spending it on nefarious means. That's not right. You know? But he's being charged federally for wire fraud, money laundering. And that, in a nutshell, is what the Black Lives Matter organization is. They take money from these people. They don't spend it in the places where you think they should be spending it. And what do you get out of return for it? Now, if someone is to come in the comment section, show me some links. Show me that they're using this money to pay for innocent black people to get out of jail. They're paying for innocent people to have decent representation in court. If they're using this money to feed the homeless. They're using these money for educational programs, for job programs. You know, if they're using that money for that, then let me see some receipts. Let me see some of that, because I don't see any of that. I don't. All I hear is just Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives don't even stand for what you think Black Lives stand for. Because I said this in a previous video. Black is a color. It's not a nation. It's not a country. It's not a people or a race. Black is a shade. Okay? So when they say black on the census, where they use black in the Black Law Book, or they use black to describe you, black means nothing. So when you say Black Lives Matter, the reason there's the opposition to that is because technically black lives are worth nothing. They're worth nothing in the eyes of the United States of America. So when you say Black Lives Matter, of course they're going to go against it because they like black lives don't mean shit. Black is a color. It's not a people. It's a designation. My skin is brown. I'm an Aboriginal American. My ancestors was here before any of the white European colonists came over here. Before the Spanish came over here. When they got over here, we was already here. When they say black lives, they talking about those LGBTs. Those lives don't matter when you talking about, as far as on the totem pole, because there's two different poles. There's the conservative one, and then there's the liberal one. On the conservative pole, LGBT is at the very bottom of that pole. even under black people. On the liberal poll, LGBT is at the damn near at the top of the poll, and the black man falls down one rank to the very bottom, just under black women on the liberal scale. So when you talk about black lives, they're talking about lives that don't really matter. You don't really count as a person. So when they say Black Lives Matter, that's why they lump in LGBTQ with black people, with people with mental disorders. Pretty much anybody who has any issue with anything can be lumped into Black Lives Matter. It don't necessarily stand for the black man. It doesn't. That's not what it means. So when I hear Black Lives Matter, I think, yo, they don't have nothing good for me, no good intentions for me whatsoever. As a black man, I can't support it. I support justice reform, police reform, getting laws on the books to where you can hold police and officers and government officials accountable. But they ain't got nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. Okay? Now, a lot of people ain't going to agree with me. That's understandable. We all have our own opinions. We have reasons that we think the way we think and we feel the way we feel. But the way I like to go about things is fuck feelings. Facts over feelings. I choose facts over feelings. And the fact of the matter is Black Lives Matter has had more victims during the protesting. There's been more victims during the protesting at these Black Lives Matter events than there has been unarmed black men being killed by police in the past 12 months. More people has died at protests than they have in the streets to the police. Straight up. And what I want to do is I'm gonna try to provide some links to where I get my information, because the last thing I want is for somebody to say, well, where did you get all of this information from? I'm gonna put the links up there, because I would say Google it, but I wouldn't want somebody to say Google it to me. Provide me with a link. Edify me. If I'm wrong on some facts, I'm wrong on some facts. Help me. I'd appreciate it. But other than that, you know what? That's all I really got to say about it. I don't want to go too long on this, but at the end of the day, we need to get past this Black Lives Matter stuff, because I guarantee you, once this election is over, all that Black Lives Matter protests and stuff that's going on in the sports world, in the music world, entertainment, all that shit gonna fall back to the wayside. Straight up. Especially if the Democrats don't win. They gonna push y'all to the side like y'all wasn't no fucking help. Because they're not helping the black community. They're not helping us. They making us look worse. When a black person has got a Black Lives Matter shirt on, or a hat, or a mask, or any paraphernalia, people look at them like, oh man, this motherfucker don't know what the fuck they got going on. They don't understand what's going on. A lot of the times they be clueless. You ask them for a solution to what they're protesting, they don't have a solution. They just out there acting a fool. Big mouths with catchy catchphrases and slogans. They ain't got no real solutions to the issues we have in the black community. And when I bring forth the solution, I get called, oh, that's some coon shit. That's some white supremacist shit. I'm like, nah, it's just some honest stand-up shit, if that's how you want to describe it. But do you like how I broke down the way I feel about Black Lives Matter and why I feel the way I feel about them? If you agree, let me know in the comments. If you don't agree, If you feel my reasoning is flawed, leave it in the comments. Let me know why. Give me some examples to prove me wrong. Facts, not feelings. Like this video. Subscribe to my channel. Share this with others. Because I feel like black people don't get enough education. We need to focus more on education than entertainment. And that's pretty much it, y'all. I might come back with a follow-up if I forgot anything. Only time will tell. But until then, go check out the website, hardknockworldwide.com. Got some new music on there. The podcast is going to be uploaded on there pretty soon. Got merchandise on there. Go check all of that out as well. And make sure you register and make sure you vote. My whole thing is, if there's no black agenda, then you're not going to get my black vote. And I feel like we all should do that. We all should be feeling the same, thinking the same way. Like I said in a previous video, we don't have no culture. We don't all move together. And that's the main issue. And it's going to just lead to a civil war. And we need to keep that from happening. We got to work together. So, peace and blessings, wealth and health.